Thanks for watching the Revive fitting guide. So the Revive Bifocal is a back surface bifocal that benefits from both simultaneous and translation at the same time. This provides us with really clear distance vision, but also with the ability to provide high reading adjustments, reading additions. We've got an adjustable distance center so we can refine the fit, and it's available in full toric parameters. So our base curves go all the way from 4 to 950. We can put 2 millimeters between the meridians. 950 diameter is standard, but you can specify or alter the diameter if you need to. Plus minus 20 power range. Reading add goes all the way from 0.75 up to +4. The segment diameter is a standard 3.5 millimeter, but it can be tailored to suit the patient, and it's available in any material that you choose for. So the initial lens selection, most popularly people just supply Ks and Rex, and the lab will send the lens parameters that you require, but the initial fitting lens should be 0.1 millimeters steeper than flat K. You obviously need to compensate for the power from your spectacle prescription, and keep the add power as per your specs. Insertion is just like any other corneal GP. Always wash your hands, keep the lens as wet as possible, and if you've got new wearers, then instill some aesthetic, one to give them more comfortable first experience of the lens, but also to allow you to assess the fit without excessive tearing. Removal is with the lid pinch or with the contact lens sucker, just like any other corneal GP. For assessment, we want to do this with a slit lamp with a yellow rattan filter and your cobalt blue. And you can see here, we can see clearly the distance in the near portion of the contact lens. So our distance zone is the central area, and there should be bright pulling centrally. The near zone is the zone beyond that where there's alignment. The edge lift is just a very small band, about 0.5 millimeter wide. We want to have quick centration of the lens and stabilization post-blink. For toric wearers, the flat axis is shown by 2 little dashes, as shown here, and these should align with the Ks, the flat K reading. So if we have a case of a flat fit, you can see in the image on the left we have the central area, but this is surrounded by the alignment, but then there's mid-peripheral pooling. And this tends to provide unstable vision, and we want to steepen the base curve by 0.1 in this case. If we have a steep fit, we tend to have a lens that doesn't move very much, very little edge lift, and very little pooling, and we want to flatten that to provide increased movement, increased translation, and better near reading. A spherical overfraction, very simply done, just incorporate the spherical power into the lens power that you have. One of the things with bifocals is always maximize the plus that you can in the distance, and patients are often sensitive to 0.25 diopter steps. Try and force as much plus as you can. This will help with things like intermediate vision, computer vision, and minimize the near addition. Keep the add as low as possible, again, to give them a good range of focus. If you have a toric overfraction, locate the flat axis of the contact lens and then align the minus sill of your cross sill or your minus sill in your trial lens with the lens location. So your minus sill should go over the flat axis of the lens. And again, maximize your distance plus and minimize the impact. So if we have some issues with the vision, we can alter both the fit but also the lens distance center to either making it larger or smaller to try and help us out. So we have poor distance and good near vision. Then we can increase the center diameter so we increase the coverage over the pupil of the distance zone, and that will help the distance quality. If we have poor near and good distance, then we can decrease the distance zone to reduce the coverage of the distance over the pupil. If we have intermittent near vision, then we tend to have a mobile lens, so we want to steepen the base curve, which is going to reduce the lens movement, or we can increase the total diameter of the lens to try and stabilize the lens as well. If we have poor near and just barely tolerable distance, then you might want to change to a different design. The Delta bifocal is a design that will allow you, again, more tailorability for the lens to suit patients with a very high vision demand with high demand for distance as well. And if we have a poor range, then you might want to consider over-plussing the distance slightly to give the patient a bit more intermediate zone, or go to a modified monovision if you have a patient with the lens worn in both eyes. In this case, we can see we have a high riding lens. In this case, the patient will generally have very good near vision and poor distance vision, and a strong minus, maybe a diopter or two of minus, will improve the distance vision. So in this case, what we want to do is we want to steepen the base curve to try and get the lens to center better, but we could also reduce the total diameter of the lens to get the lens to fit more in between the palpebral aperture. Or we can increase the center diameter as well to try and get more pupil coverage of the center distance zone. In a case where we have a low or a lateral lighting lens, patient tends to have good distance vision, but they generally have no near vision at all. Of course, they look down, they're looking straight through the distance window of the lens. So you need a lot of plus to correct the near vision with these patients. In this case, we want to try and flatten the base curve to get the lens to be more mobile, to lift up, and to be translation to be aided by the lower lid. So we can either flatten the base curve, we can also increase the total diameter just to move all of the optics up a little bit, and we can also reduce the distance center diameter to try and get more pupil coverage of the near zone of the lens. An easier way to make adjustments or to confirm what your thoughts are is to fill in the adjustment form that comes with all the lenses, send that back to the lab, and the lab can then assess it and try to assist you in making any alterations, or they can do all the alterations for you based on your findings from your slit lamp and your refraction. With it being a back surface design, the Revive does cause corneal spectacle blur from corneal moulding. This effect tends to last an hour or two post-lens wear, so the Revive is ideally suited for full-time wearers. Part-time wearers who like to remove their lenses in the middle of the day are going to experience this spectacle blur. So the Revive is a great bifocal design that's a real problem solver for a lot of patients, and indeed it's a first choice lens for a lot of optometrists. It gives clear, undistorted distance and near vision with your full reading ability. Patients should have complete freedom from reading glasses because of the quality of the near vision they get. It's available in the standard and also the toric designs, and you can customize it to tailor it individual patient. Also check out our videos on the Delta and the ProCurve, bifocal and multifocal.
And thanks for watching.